This is the story of Prince Marco, a man who had everything, yet found himself lost within his own thoughts. Guided by a wise monk, he discovered that true peace isn't found in crowns or kingdoms, but in the stillness of the mind. If you've ever felt overwhelmed, restless, or burdened by the noise of life, this story will remind you of a truth long forgotten. Peace begins where thought ends. Sparkles watch till the end. It might just change the way you see yourself. When I was younger, I believed that the secret to greatness was in collecting books, collecting achievements, collecting knowledge, collecting opinions. I thought the more I filled my mind, the wiser I would become. But life has its own way of teaching you that the mind is not a vessel to fill, it is a space to keep clear. I was Prince Marco then, heir to a kingdom, surrounded by advisors, soldiers, and endless decisions. Every morning began with the noise of responsibility and ended with the echo of unfinished thoughts. And one night, as I looked over my balcony, staring into the dark fields below, I realized, though I ruled thousands, I couldn't even rule my own mind. My heart was tired, not from battles, but from thinking too much, so I left, quietly. One dawn, I removed my crown, put on a traveler's cloak, and rode away from the palace. I rode until the marble roads turned to dirt, until the sound of the city faded into the song of the wind. And after days of searching, I found what I didn't know I was looking for, a monastery hidden deep in the mountains, where silence seemed to breathe. There I met a monk named Tenzin, an old man with eyes clearer than water. He looked at me and said, "You've come with too much." I laughed. "Too much? I came with nothing but this cloak." He smiled gently. "You came with your thoughts, Prince. That's far heavier than gold." I stayed with him. I wanted to learn. I wanted peace. But the more he told me to let go, the more I clung to my need to understand. One morning, he invited me for tea. He poured tea into my cup, but didn't stop. The cup overflowed, spilling hot tea over the table and onto my hand. I jumped back. "It's full, it's overflowing," I said. Tenzin looked at me, calm as still water, and said, "Yes, and that is your mind, full of thoughts, full of beliefs, full of yourself. How can I pour new wisdom into a cup that's already full?" That moment hit me like thunder in silence. I realized how crowded my mind had become, full of opinions I'd never questioned, fears I never faced, and memories I never released. That day, for the first time in my life, I sat still, not as a prince, not as a seeker, just as a human being breathing in the quiet. At first, silence was unbearable. Every thought screamed louder when I tried to stop thinking. But Tenzin would sit beside me and say softly, "Don't fight your thoughts. Let them pass. The clouds do not argue with the wind." And slowly I began to understand. I didn't have to control everything. I didn't have to fill every silence. I didn't have to be someone all the time. Days passed like that, quiet mornings, long walks, simple meals, deep silence. And one evening, as the sun sank behind the mountains, I felt something I had never known before, stillness. Not the kind of stillness that comes from exhaustion, but the kind that comes from peace. It felt as though the world was breathing with me, not against me. I asked Tenzin, "Master, why do we chase so much when peace is right here?" He smiled. "Because we think peace is a prize, but it's not a prize, Marco. It's your natural state. You only need to remember it." That night I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking, no, feeling what he said. Peace was not something I needed to earn. It was what remained when I stopped fighting with myself. Years later, when I returned to my kingdom, nothing had changed. The palace was the same, the people were the same, the problems were the same. But I had changed. When I spoke slowly. When I listened deeply. And when storms came, political, emotional, or personal, I did not react. I simply breathed and watched the storm pass, just as clouds pass across a clear sky. Because that's what the mind is, the sky. And thoughts, they're just clouds. Some are dark, some are light, but none of them stay forever. When you realize that, life becomes simpler, lighter, more real. My friend, if you're watching this, maybe you've been feeling what I once felt. Too many thoughts, too many voices, too much noise. The world keeps telling you to fill yourself, fill your mind with knowledge, fill your time with work, fill your heart with more goals. But sometimes the most courageous thing you can do is empty. Empty your mind of what drains you. Empty your heart of what no longer serves you. Empty your schedule of what doesn't bring you peace. Because when you empty yourself, you make space. And in that space, life rushes in. Clarity appears. Joy returns. Peace breathes again. Tenzin used to say, "A mind full of noise cannot hear the whisper of the soul." And now I understand. When you let silence in, your soul begins to speak. So the next time you feel lost, stop searching outside. Sit down, close your eyes, breathe, let go of one thought, then another, and another, until only awareness remains. That's where truth lives, not in the past, not in the future, but here in the stillness of now. Remember this, my friend, an empty mind is not a weak mind. It is the strongest mind there is, because only an empty mind can hold the fullness of life. So take this moment for yourself. Take one deep breath and ask, what can I let go of right now? You don't need to be a prince to find peace. You only need to be human enough to stop chasing and start listening. Thank you for spending this moment with me. If this story touched your heart, share it with someone who needs quiet in their chaos. And if you wish to walk this journey of calm and wisdom with me, subscribe. Because sometimes one simple story can awaken a lifetime of peace.